All right, let's jump right in. You sent over a ton of interesting stuff about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Especially focusing on Delinea.
Yeah. Looks like you really want to understand
Yeah.
not just cybersecurity in general, but how Delinea approaches it.
Idea?
Like their philosophy of protection.
Yeah, and maybe learn about Bert Blevins.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain
You got it.
at who he is.
So we're doing a deep dive into Delinea's world.
Sounds good.
We'll start with a little cybersecurity 101,
Oh, okay.
but then get into what makes Delinea unique.
Right.
And of course, we got to talk about the man himself,
Okay.
Bert Blevins.
So Delinea defines cybersecurity as protecting digital systems, networks, and data from harm.
Makes
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But then they go beyond just the basics and really emphasize securing privileged access.
So break that down for me.
Okay, so think about it like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about locking your front door. It's about making sure the people who do have keys,
Okay.
like your system administrators,
Right.
that they're trustworthy and that those keys are protected.
Okay.
That's where PAM comes in, privileged access management.
Okay, so PAM.
Yeah.
So what Delinea is saying is that focusing on those
Right.
with the highest level of access
Yeah,
is key to having a secure system overall.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And they actually lay out their whole philosophy in
Yeah.
10 key points.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's not just about technology.
Right.
They recognize the human element too.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, for example,
Uh-huh.
they talk about minimizing human error.
Yeah, I mean,
We all make mistakes.
we do.
Speak on a phishing link.
Exactly, or forget to log out,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Happens.
So Delinea builds systems
Okay.
that try to reduce the chances
Uh-huh.
of those mistakes turning into big security breaches,
That makes sense.
like having CT-nets built in.
Exactly.
Right.
Another important point they make is
Yep.
securing the entire identity lifecycle,
Okay.
not just passwords.
So it's more than just having a strong password.
It is.
Okay.
It's about how you control
Right.
how those accounts are created,
Right.
used, and deactivated
Right.
when someone leaves the company
Uh-huh.
or changes roles.
Makes sense.
They also emphasize real-time monitoring,
Okay.
so you can quickly detect
Gotcha.
and respond to suspicious activity.
So they're thinking about every stage of access,
Yeah.
from creation to deletion,
Yes.
and everything in between.
Exactly. And
Okay.
it gets even more interesting.
Okay, how so?
They talk about securing machine identity
Machine identities.
as we rely more and more on AI
Mm-hmm.
and automation.
Right.
Even machines need their own digital identities
Interesting.
that need protection.
Now that you mention it,
Think about things like self-driving cars,
I have heard about
smart homes, this
vulnerabilities
whole Internet of Things.
with smart home devices.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's on Delinea's radar.
It is.
But before we go too far into all that,
Okay.
let's talk about Bert Blevins.
Yeah.
His bio suggests he's a pretty fascinating guy.
He seems to be more than just a tech expert.
Okay.
He has an MBA.
Wow.
He teaches.
Okay.
He's active in his community.
Uh-huh.
And he's even an endurance athlete.
Okay, that's impressive.
It is.
What do you think that says about Delinea as a company?
I think it suggests
Mhm.
that they value well-rounded people
Okay.
who bring a diverse set of skills and experience
That's it.
to the table.
Yeah.
It's not just about coding. It's
No.
about understanding the bigger picture
Uh-huh.
and how cybersecurity fits into it.
And it seems like he really understands the practical side of things too.
Yeah.
He's a certified cyber insurance specialist.
Right.
So he's not just thinking about preventing breaches, but also the financial consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that practical experience really shines through in his
Wow.
YouTube videos.
Does it?
He has a great one on just-in-time permissions.
I've heard that term before.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean?
It's all about minimizing risk
Okay.
by only giving someone access
Okay.
to a system or data
Uh-huh.
when they absolutely need it.
So it's not just about who has access,
Right.
but also when and for how long.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's a really powerful way to limit damage.
It is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that's just one example.
Okay.
He also has videos about things like password rotation,
Okay.
especially in Linux environments,
Uh-huh.
and the importance of using authenticator apps.
Wait, remind me.
Yeah.
What is multi-factor authentication again?
Basically adding an extra layer of security
Okay.
by requiring you to prove your identity
Right?
in more than one way.
Okay.
So like using your password and a code from an app on your phone.
Oh, like Google Authenticator.
Exactly.
I use that all the time.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
See, these are the kind of practical takeaways I was hoping for.
Good.
This is great.
And we're just getting started.
Okay.
He also has videos about cloud security threats
Okay.
and how to mitigate them, which is especially relevant
Right.
with so much data and applications moving to the cloud
It is.
these days.
Okay, so it sounds like Bert and Delinea
Yeah,
are really on top of the latest developments
they are.
in cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
But before we dive into the details of those videos,
Okay,
let's pause here for a moment.
sounds good.
We'll pick up in part 2
Okay,
with a closer look at some of Bert's insights
right.
and what they mean for you.
Looking forward to it.
All right, see you there.
Okay. Picking up where we left off.
Okay.
It's clear that cybersecurity is constantly evolving.
It is.
And
yeah.
Delinea seems to be embracing that evolution. They're not just reacting to threats.
Right.
They're proactively thinking about the future and how to stay ahead of the curve.
It's like they're playing a game of chess.
Exactly.
With hackers always
Yeah.
trying to anticipate their next move.
Right, and one of the things that makes Delinea so interesting
Okay.
is their focus on making cybersecurity accessible
Okay.
to everyone, not just the experts.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels like cybersecurity is
Yeah.
shrouded in all this mystique. Like it's only for the super techie people.
Right, but Delinea's approach is almost like
Yeah.
demystifying cybersecurity,
Yeah.
making it relatable
Uh-huh.
and applicable to everyday life.
Which is so important.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
cybersecurity impacts all of us.
it does.
Whether you're a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
an employee,
Right.
or just someone who uses the internet.
Yeah, we're all potential targets
Exactly.
for cyber attacks.
We're all living in this digital world now.
We are.
And we need to learn the rules of the road
Exactly.
to stay safe.
That's a good way to put it.
So let's talk about some of those rules.
Okay.
You mentioned that Bert Blevins has some really insightful videos
I did.
on specific cybersecurity challenges.
Yeah, he does.
One that caught my eye
Okay.
was the one about unlimited admin mode from Delinea.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What is that all about?
It sounds a little counterintuitive, right?
It does.
Unlimited admin access, but secure.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they seem to have achieved.
Okay.
It's like having a master key
Mhm.
that lets you do anything,
Okay.
but with built-in safeguards
Gotcha.
to prevent misuse.
So it's about giving administrators the flexibility they need
Yes.
without compromising security.
Exactly.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Okay.
How does it actually work?
So in the video,
Yeah.
Bert highlights some of the key features and benefits.
Okay.
He talks about how it streamlines
Okay.
system administration.
Uh-huh. While maintaining security best practices.
So it's like having a safety net
Yeah, you could say that.
for those who have the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
And he gives some real-world examples
He does.
in the video.
He provides some use cases and scenarios
Okay,
so you can see how it can be applied
gotcha.
in different situations.
So it's not just a theoretical concept.
Right.
It's something that can be implemented
Exactly.
in a practical way.
Yes, and I think what's really interesting
Yeah.
is that Delinea isn't just focused on securing privileged access, but they're also thinking about
Yeah.
how to make it easier for those with privileged access
Okay,
to do their jobs securely.
that makes sense.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of practical,
Okay.
I noticed that Bert also has a video about rotating passwords
He does.
in Red Hat Linux.
Yeah.
Is that something that would be
Right.
relevant to our listener?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially if they're working in a Linux environment.
In the video, he provides a step-by-step guide.
Okay.
That's really easy to follow,
That's helpful.
even if you're not a Linux expert.
So he's not just talking about the why.
Right.
He's actually showing you the how.
Exactly.
That's-
And he goes beyond just the mechanics of password rotation.
Okay.
He also talks about why it's so important,
Right.
emphasizing how it ensures compliance
Uh-huh.
with security policies
Okay.
and safeguards sensitive accounts.
It's like changing the locks on your doors
Exactly.
periodically.
Yeah.
A simple but effective way to prevent unauthorized access.
Yes.
And I bet he talks about automation too, right?
You know,
Yeah.
he emphasizes how automating the process can make it more efficient
Right.
and reduce the chance of human error.
Makes sense.
So it's all about making security as seamless as possible.
Right.
So it doesn't become a burden or an obstacle to productivity.
Now, remember how we talked about cloud security threats?
I do?
Well, Bert has a video that dives into a specific type of threat called cloud identity discovery.
Right?
What can you tell me about that?
This one gets a little technical,
Okay.
but essentially it involves hackers trying to figure out
Uh-huh.
what cloud services are running on a system
Okay.
after they've gained access.
So they're not just breaking in, they're trying to map out the whole territory.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like a thief casing a house.
Okay.
Trying to identify all the valuables
And
before they make their move.
And in this case, the
Yeah.
valuables are things like Azure AD, Office 365, and other cloud-based services.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Okay, so the stakes are pretty high here.
They are.
What does Bert suggest we do about it?
Well, he does a great job of explaining the threat,
Okay.
but he also talks about best practices for mitigating it.
Okay, like what?
He emphasizes the importance of understanding your cloud environment,
Okay.
properly configuring your security settings, and implementing robust identity management solutions.
So it's not just about reacting to this specific threat.
Right.
It's about having a solid
It is.
cloud security strategy in place.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is becoming increasingly important as more organizations rely on cloud services
It is.
for their operations.
It sounds like Delinea is at the forefront of addressing
They are.
these emerging threats in the cloud. It sounds like they're really covering all the bases,
They are.
from
Yeah.
traditional cybersecurity challenges
Yes.
to the latest threats in the cloud.
They are, and that's what makes them so interesting to follow.
I agree.
You know, they're constantly evolving
Yeah,
and adapting to the changing landscape,
Right.
which is essential
it is.
in this ever-evolving world
Yeah.
of cybersecurity.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We
From Delinea's philosophy to Bert Blevins' insights
Yeah.
and some really practical advice on how to stay safe in the digital world.
It is a jungle out there.
But there's still more to unpack.
Okay.
Get ready for part 3,
Sounds good.
where we'll wrap things up
Okay.
and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder.
I'm looking forward to it.
So we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
From Delinea's unique approach to cybersecurity to some really practical advice from Bert Blevins.
Right.
But it feels like we've only scratched the surface.
It does a little bit.
What's the biggest takeaway for you?
Well, I think what stands out to me is that
Yeah.
Delinea isn't just selling products.
Okay.
They're advocating for a whole new way of thinking about cybersecurity.
Right.
You know, they recognize that it's not just about technology.
Right.
It's about people,
Uh-huh.
processes, and
Right.
understanding
Yeah.
the evolving threat landscape.
They're like the cybersecurity mentors we all need,
We do.
especially with all this talk about
Right.
machine identities
Oh, yeah.
and the future of AI.
Yeah, that part really got me thinking.
Me too.
It's a concept that has huge implications for cybersecurity.
It does.
You know, as we become more and more reliant on AI
Right.
and automation,
Right.
we need to figure out
Yeah.
how to protect those systems from malicious actors.
It's like we're building this incredibly complex digital world,
Yeah,
but we're still figuring out
we
how
are.
to secure the foundations.
It's almost philosophical, isn't it?
It is.
Like, what does security even mean
Yeah.
in a world where
Wow.
machines are making decisions?
And who is responsible
Exactly.
when things go wrong?
Those are questions we need to be asking ourselves
What are you?
now,
Right.
before it's too late.
Yeah, it is a bit daunting, to be honest.
It is.
But Delinea's approach gives me some hope.
Yeah, I agree.
They seem to be thinking ahead,
They are.
anticipating those challenges, and coming up with solutions.
And they're not just keeping that knowledge to themselves.
Right.
You know, they're sharing it.
Right.
Through their videos,
Yeah.
articles, training programs.
Right. They're empowering people to take control of their own cybersecurity.
Yeah, which is what this whole deep dive is about.
Exactly.
Giving you the information and tools you need
Uh-huh.
to make informed decisions about your own security.
All right, so we've explored Delinea's philosophy,
Yeah.
their focus on privileged access management, and even some specific tips
We have.
on how to protect your data and devices.
Right.
But the conversation doesn't end here.
No, it doesn't.
What we talked about today
Yeah.
should be a springboard
For you.
for your own exploration.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep asking questions.
Keep challenging yourself
Yeah.
to stay ahead of the curve.
Because cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. in this digital world.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into Delinea
That has been fun.
and the world of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
I hope you feel as energized and empowered as I do.
Me too.